From 21 News, this is live coverage of Solar Eclipse 2017.
Good afternoon and welcome to our special coverage of the Solar Eclipse 2017. I'm Jennifer Brindisi. This once-in-a-lifetime event began about an hour or so ago across the country, starting in Oregon. This is an eclipse shot from out west where the eclipse has begun. The first total eclipse began in Oregon about 1:16 our time. The last total eclipse begins about 2:46 in Charleston, South Carolina. As we've been reporting for weeks now, this once-in-a-lifetime event is drawing people to small towns across the country. They're flocking to spots where a total eclipse can be seen. It is a big event here, and 21 News has it covered with team coverage. Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm is point man for everything we need to know. And our news anchor Derek Steyer is in the path of totality. He's in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Glenn Stevens, meantime, is in Canfield for a local viewing party. And meteorologist Andrew DePaulo is in Boardman as our local kids take this opportunity to learn just a little bit. We'll start off with meteorologist Eric Wilhelm. Eric?
Well, hey there, Jen, and yeah, it's a great event ongoing across the country right now, and we're about a half an hour away from our maximum eclipse here around the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. Now, we're not going to see a total eclipse here, but still we'll see about 80% coverage of the sun's face by the moon. I've spent a lot of time on social media over the last few days kind of talking about various myths and misinformation that is out there as we gear up for the eclipse. So one of those things is, hey, I'm not going to look at the sky today. Can I go about my daily activities? And the answer is absolutely yes. You don't have to worry about your pets. You don't have to worry about your children as long as they're not staring at the sun. You can drive to work and go about your business without any problems today. But if you're going to look at the sun, of course, the solar eclipse glass is the best way to go. Pinhole projector, another great method of viewing the eclipse as well. And of course, we're going to show you some live shots during the course of our special coverage this afternoon. Let's take a live look outside this afternoon. The weather all important for an eclipse. And yes, indeed, we have a mostly sunny sky overhead right now. Some haze in the air. It is warm. It is humid. 87 as we overlook 224 in Boardman. 88 degrees in downtown Youngstown. Dew point in the mid 60s right now. And so, yeah, kind of a hazy sky, but we're seeing a fair amount of sunshine out there. Now let's look down on the clouds from above with our high-res visible satellite here. Conditions pretty good here. A lot of sunshine throughout eastern Ohio and western PA. Just some fair weather cumulus clouds, some cirrus clouds trying to stream in as well. And most importantly, we are dry right now. We're going to keep a close eye on Storm Tracker 21 over the next half an hour. There's a minuscule chance of a random shower, but most of the time should be just fine. Now, what's really cool here is tracking the eclipse on this high-resolution visible satellite. Right now, they're experiencing totality over parts of the Rockies into the Plain States. And look at that. You can see that darkening of the sky in places such as Denver and Casper and Billings, heading over towards Omaha pretty soon. And we're going to keep a close eye on this over the next half an hour as this dark blob on the visible satellite continues tracking to the south and to the southeast. You know, we're kind of lucking out in that this eclipse is happening at a fairly sunny time of the year for us throughout our part of the country. Of course, we tend to see a lot of clouds in the wintertime, but especially in June, July, and August, we typically see more sunny days than cloudy days, so the timing on this solar eclipse working out very, very well for us in that regard. Now, I mentioned the path of totality. It is not around here this time, but it is not far to our south. Of course, we're going to check in with Derek Steyer pretty soon. He's down in Kentucky. The path of totality moving across parts of Nebraska into Missouri and down where Derek is in western Kentucky, and it will keep going into parts of Tennessee. And finally, this eclipse will wrap up across North America in parts of South Carolina, right around Charleston. So we're not on the path of totality this time, but we're still going to see about 80% coverage of the sun's face by the moon. That will occur at about 2:33, so a little less than a half an hour from right now. Then the eclipse will wind down completely by about 3:53. By the way, if you have your eclipse glasses, you can see that the moon is moving over the sun right now. I was just outside about 5 or 6 minutes ago. It's really cool already, even though we're still a half an hour away from our maximum coverage here. There's actually a slight difference in that maximum coverage, the exact time in our western viewing area around Berlin Center and Newton Falls and Warren. It's actually 2:32, kind of in the heart of our viewing area, 2:33, then heading over into eastern Mercer and eastern parts of Lawrence County a minute later at 2:34. You may remember back in 1994, we did have a partial eclipse around the region, but it's what we call an annular eclipse. It's where the moon actually appears smaller than the sun, so it doesn't completely cover the sun. I've had a lot of people say, hey, I remember an eclipse back in the 90s, and that's probably what you're remembering back in 1994. Here in Youngstown, we haven't had a total eclipse of the sun in a very long time. 1838, but yes, we only have about 6.5 years until that path of totality is here. April 8th, 2024, we will have a total solar eclipse here across northern Ohio and up into far northwest PA and into western New York. So even though we're not in the path of totality this time, we don't have to wait too much longer before we're kind of in the sweet spot here across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. Jen?
Very good. Pretty remarkable. Thanks so much, Eric. Well, Derek Steyer hit the road on Saturday morning heading for a good spot to watch this total solar eclipse. He ended up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where that total solar eclipse is expected about 2:24.
Jen, oh wow, I can't tell you how much I'm geeking out right now. I mean, I'm just looking up at the sun, and we're probably 3/4 of the way there because we're going to hit totality here in Hopkinsville in about 20 minutes or so. I want to step out of the way and show you what's going on here. We're live at Orchard Dale Farm. This is a few miles west of Hopkinsville, and this is the prime location to see this total solar eclipse. You can see people behind me. They're up on their cars. They've got their glasses on. They're looking up. And I'll tell you what, you can start to feel the temperature drop even right now. It has been scorching hot all weekend. And Sam, my photographer, we were just talking about how we're finally getting some relief. It finally feels a little bit cooler. And I'll tell you what, it is absolutely awesome out here right now what's going on. A lot of media are here, probably 20 different stations from around the country are here, and people, hundreds of people are here. 46 different states represented, 19 foreign countries, 3 U.S. territories, all here because we're at the point of greatest eclipse, 2 minutes and 40 seconds that we are going to be in totality. All right, we want to show you the sun right now, what it looks like. You'll only be able to see what it looks like right here from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. My photographer, Sam Easton's going to flip his filter on. Sam, tell me what you're doing here.
Okay, this is a special filter, so it's going to look black right now. And then you should see a very small spot show in the center of the screen. I'm looking for that. There, I can see it. Now I'm going to zoom in and focus as carefully as I can. And then I actually have an extender here. This will show an even better shot of it. There we go. A little bit better focus. And I have to iris down just enough so you see, there it is. That's the shot.
It's just, and we're not even at totality yet. We're going to be there in about 20 minutes or so, and I can't tell you the excitement and the buzz that is in the air of people with their telescopes and their glasses and their cameras, and just what the experience is going to be like, because so many people that we talked to this weekend here in Hopkinsville have never experienced an eclipse before. Of course, the last one's been decades, the last one coast to coast. I know we've talked about it a lot back in 1918. So almost everybody in the United States getting a chance to see this total solar eclipse. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be at totality in just a few minutes. We'll come back and we'll show you what that looks like. But for now, let's go back to you in Youngstown. Jen?
Derek, so fascinating to see. Well, for weeks now, people in the Mahoning and Shenango valleys have been preparing for this day. The glasses have all been handed out and watch parties are well underway. Glenn Stevens is at one of those such parties in Canfield. Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Well, we're here at the experimental farm in Canfield, just across from the Canfield Fairgrounds, and this is where the staff of the YSU Planetarium had invited the public to come out and share this eclipse experience with them. They have several telescopes set up here, and I can tell you that people started showing up here early this morning because they were going to be offering the approved eclipse sunglasses. There was a long line, and by shortly after 12 o'clock, they had to close the parking lot because it was totally full. And I'll tell you, because of the weather right now, what all these people that are waiting out here really needed was some water and some sunblock. But of course, the main reason we're here today is for the ultimate sunblock, and that's Eclipse 2017. Right over here is the engineer from the YSU Planetarium, Kurt Spivey, who is helping people right now look in the telescope and experience the eclipse. Kurt, first of all, what about the turnout out here?
Wow, this is fantastic. It's great to see so many folks in the valley out today.
And you say right now we're at about 45% or so?
We're about halfway of what we're going to see. It's about 45 to 50% coverage right now at, what is it, 1:45? Yeah,
10 after.
10 after 2. Yeah. I've been here a while. So yeah, we got about another 20 minutes until it's maximum coverage.
Yeah. Okay, what are some of the people saying after they see it?
Oh, I've been here on the telescope the whole time, and we get to see detail you can't see with just the Eclipse shades. It's just fantastic.
I think I heard you say there's a couple of sunspots even?
Yeah, which was a surprise to me because last week when we were doing dry runs, the sun was quiet as a tomb. Today we have 2 groups of sunspots. The moon has already covered 1 group, and there's still 1 group over the edge that you can see in the telescopes.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Kurt Spivey from the YSU Planetarium. And as you can see, there's a long line here. People just anxiously waiting to get their chance on the telescope. Of course, a lot of people are here with their approved Eclipse glasses. Other ones have their projection cards and their shoebox projectors. So it's just a huge turnout, and so far the weather is holding. Just a few passing clouds, and everyone seems to be really enjoying this Eclipse 2017. And we'll check back a little bit later. Back to you.
We are just under a half hour from the valley's partial eclipse. Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm back with some more insight into this event. Eric?
Hey there, Jen. You know, we just heard a lot about, of course, viewing the eclipse with your eyes safely. It's 2017, and everybody's got a phone and a camera in their pocket now. And one of the things you want to keep in mind is that chances are you're not going to get a very good picture of this today, and chances are you're going to hurt your smartphone camera if you try to take a picture. So I wouldn't worry about it. A lot of people have thought that you could use the selfie camera and get a picture of the sun behind you, and that's not going to work out very well either. My advice would be to just kind of be in the moment. Hopefully you have some Eclipse glasses, or hopefully you made that pinhole projector, or hopefully you're just going to watch our coverage here over the next 20 minutes or so. Keeping an eye on the satellite picture this afternoon, and something cool happening as we speak. You can see the sky trying to darken off to our west as the moon continues to approach from the west, so the visible satellite picture dimming. And most importantly, we don't have a lot of clouds around this afternoon. We have a few fair weather cumulus clouds around, and the radar is nice and quiet, so we don't have any showers, no raindrops to worry about right now. A couple of showers have cropped up to the south of Pittsburgh. What's even cooler is to track this as it goes across the country. Again, this is a high-res visible satellite picture, the latest and greatest in satellite technology right here, and you can see, look at that, there's the moon. When this comes across the middle of the screen right here, that's where it is right now, and it will continue along that path of totality down into parts of the southeast. And you know, this is a pretty sunny time of the year, so our timing on this pretty good. An eclipse in January would not be a great thing for us because, of course, it's much cloudier typically in the middle of winter, but only about a third, maybe a quarter to a third of days in the month of August are generally pretty cloudy, and today is one of those sunnier days. The path of totality, of course, starting in the northwest a little while ago, and that path of totality continues into the parts of the Plain States, and of course finishes down in parts of the southeast. Now, Derek Steyer's in western Kentucky. He's right in the middle of the path of totality there. Now, we're not going to see a total eclipse here, but at 2:33 roughly, that is when we'll see our maximum coverage. We'll see about 80% of the sun covered by the moon at around 2:33 this afternoon. There's actually a slight difference from west-east. It's a minute or so. 2:32 in the western part of our viewing area, kind of the heart of our viewing area, including Boardman and Youngstown and heading up towards Vienna, and then down into central parts of Columbiana County. It's right at 2:33. Just a minute later, over towards Grove City and New Wilmington and Elwood City as well. So we've got about 13 to 14 minutes to go until we reach our max eclipse coverage here across eastern Ohio and western PA. You may remember back in 1994 we had an annular eclipse across the region. Well, what in the world is that? That's a different type of eclipse where the moon is just a little too small. It appears too small to cover the entire sun. And you may remember we had a partial annular eclipse back here in 1994. Well, we're going to hit the jackpot in 6.5 years, almost 7 years. Here's today's path in the gray line here. But in 2024, on April the 8th, a total solar eclipse will start in Mexico and roll up through Texas, including the Dallas area, go over Little Rock, Arkansas, close to St. Louis, Missouri. Actually, some of the places in Kentucky, southern Illinois that are lucky today and getting the total solar eclipse are going to have another one in 6.5 years. They're really hitting the jackpot right in here in southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, into western Kentucky. And yes, that red line in 2024 goes right up over northern Ohio into far northwestern PA and into western New York. So again, this year's eclipse is just kind of an appetizer for us. Our hotels are going to be very, very crowded, and our interstates will be very, very crowded, much like they are in the path of totality this year. That's going to be us in 2024. So we have a really cool thing to look forward to in just about 6.5 years. Jen?
All right. A total eclipse is only minutes away in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. So let's go there for our coverage with anchor Derek Steyer. Derek.
That's right, Jen. Just a few minutes ago, the crowd behind me was cheering because they were given the less than 5 minutes until totality right now. And man, it's dark. I can't believe how much darker it's gotten since I last talked to you guys in just a few minutes. But looking up right now, I would say it's 95, 96% covered right now, the moon covering the sun, and it's cooler. There's a nice breeze. I mean, this actually feels nice right now compared to what it was just a couple of hours ago. And again, it just continues to haze down. Now, here's kind of an idea of what we should see. Over to my left, we believe the shed, as soon as we hit totality, where Sam is pointing right now, is where that shadow is going to come down. And that shadow is going to come straight across right towards our camera. And when it passes us, we are going to be in totality, and we will be in totality for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's the longest duration in the country. That's why NASA pegged Hopkinsville, Kentucky as the point of greatest eclipse. We are right smack dab in the center line of that streak. And here we go, folks. You can start to see the shadow. You can start to see it come. We're getting extremely close now, within probably less than a minute to 30 seconds. I'm looking up right now, just seeing a sliver, and you can see an inch, little inches. Here it comes. And people are starting to cheer. Sam has gone up, and you can see the sliver right now. And when we hit totality, I'm going to pause for just a second. I want you guys just to watch this, to take it in, to soak it in, because again, this is something that we just don't get to see every single day. Yes, 7 years we're going to get to see it up in our neck of the woods, which is going to be fantastic. I cannot describe to you guys what this looks like. And I'm hearing behind me, oh my God.
Take the filter off, Derek.
Sam has now taken the filter off, which NASA was telling us yesterday we can do here in Hopkinsville because we are in totality. I can take my glasses off.
It's dark.
And it is absolutely dark right now. You can hear the kids screaming. Take this in, folks. We're going to sit here for the duration of this eclipse, and everybody's cheering. Unbelievable. Guys, I don't know how to describe this. Just watch. I mean, you can see the corona of the sun. That's the outer atmosphere. We have our glasses off, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
Shot, Derek.
I'm looking at Sam's shot right now. It's unbelievable through the camera lens. Sam, take a second to come out of the camera if you can and watch it. It's got kind of a pinkish glow to it right now. I've got chills. I can't believe how dark it is. Not quite as dark as I thought it was going to be. You can see some stars. You can see a few stars. What do you think, Sam?
Oh, this is I'm actually tearing up.
I am too. I was too.
Incredible.
It just gives you chills.
Wow.
#21 News, the only local station here in the path of totality for this once in a decade type event. I haven't been counting down. I don't know how much longer we're going to be in totality.
Probably 35.
My guess is it's starting to move out.
Yeah, it's coming out a little bit.
Wow. Absolutely incredible to see that corona. The crowd is kind of in awe right now. I mean, they're all just looking up at the sky. No one has their glasses on. No one was really saying much anymore. I mean, there were the oohs and the ahs, and I think everybody's just kind of amazed. I mean, there really aren't words to describe it. Again, I'm continuing to look up without my glasses. This 2 minutes and 40 seconds is unbelievable. It feels like an eternity, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Somebody says they can see Jupiter.
We heard you might be able to see Jupiter, might be true. But boy, when you look behind me, Sam, just this, it's almost like a sunset, you know? It's beautiful behind us, what this looks like. It's like dusk, yeah, absolutely. This is why, and okay, you're starting to see a sliver of the sun right now. Okay, so totality is over, and people are starting to cheer and clap. And this is why they came. It's starting to brighten up now. This is why they came to Hopkinsville. This is why so many people wanted to be in the path of totality. And I have to tell you, if you have something on your bucket list, it's to do this. It's to come somewhere where you can see this live in person, because as Sam and I were mentioning, we were kind of tearing up a little bit. I mean, it just gave you chills inside to look at it. It was really beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed that, something you'll only see here in Western Kentucky and Hopkinsville. I know it's going to move on down the road, but what a scene, what a sight here in Hopkinsville, Kentucky for Solar Eclipse 2017. We're going to go get some reaction from the folks around here, but I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Jen?
A moment in time. I got goosebumps sitting up here. I feel like I'm right there with you. Thanks to Derek and Sam out there. Well, Youngstown State's Ward Beecher Planetarium is hosting a viewing party for the partial eclipse. Let's go back to Canfield with Glenn Stevens. Hey, Glenn.
Well, we're still here at the experimental farm in Canfield, where people continue to line up and share the eclipse experience with staff members from the YSU Planetarium. They have several large telescopes out here, and people have just been lining up and having their chance to check out the eclipse. And I'll tell you what, there's just been a great atmosphere out here. People are really enjoying this event together, and we're out in this wide open space, and I can tell you at about 75% of the eclipse right now, it is noticeably darker. It's not quite as the shadows are getting shorter, and you can tell as you look around, it's almost like twilight time as it gets closer and closer to that maximum coverage in our area, which is about 79 to 80%, not the total day into night effect, but people out here are certainly enjoying it. And one fact that I don't know has been mentioned is that total eclipses and solar eclipses actually have a shelf life. The moon continues to orbit outward, and they say that in about 1,000 years it'll be at a point where there will never be another solar eclipse. So solar eclipses won't be around forever. As the moon continues to move outward, eventually there will not be any solar eclipses. So experiencing this today is something that everybody seems to be enjoying, especially the youngsters who are coming up and looking at it and giving their young expressions of wow, cool, awesome. So I'm sure they'll remember this, and they'll have something to talk about when they head back to school for the next year. So a big crowd out here, and as far as we can tell and from what we learned, the 1,500 glasses, approved solar glasses that they got, were just enough to provide one for each family. So everybody here is happy, and now they're getting that close-up look with this big 8-inch telescope provided by the YSU Planetarium. So we hope you're enjoying it. We're having a good time out here, and we'll maybe check back a little later. But for now, from the experimental farm in Canfield, I'm Glenn Stevens. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Glenn. We are up here on the roof at our downtown studios, WFMJ. We are about 4 minutes away from our peak eclipse of 80%. And a lot of people may be wondering, why isn't it getting darker? You know, it's a little weird out here. It is getting a little darker. There's been a few inconvenient clouds trying to push in as well. But there's a big difference between being in totality, where Derek was, which has kind of been described as a life-changing experience for a lot of people, and for us at 80%, or even in the places that have a 90 to 95% coverage, it's just not the same kind of an animal as a 100% total eclipse. A little experiment here to show you what I mean. Well, in a total solar eclipse, you don't see any sunlight for a couple of minutes, of course, but here in Youngstown and surrounding areas, you know, it's about 80% coverage. And while that is significant, and again, it is noticeably a little bit darker outside, there's a big difference between some sunshine getting through and no sunshine getting through. The sun is very strong, and even though the moon is covering up the face by a good 75 to 80% at this point, there's still quite a bit of sunlight coming through as well. So over the next few minutes, it's a good time to head outdoors. We want to maybe pan up and check out the sun now. Dave's going to put on a special solar filter on our camera and see what we can see. There's been a few clouds that have been trying to move around. the sun over the last 5-6 minutes or so. So we're hoping that some of these wispy clouds, some cirrus clouds, some cumulus clouds try to push away here so that we can get a good look at the sun. I was outdoors about an hour ago, and even then it was really cool with my Eclipse glasses checking out the moon entering the east side, or the right side, I should say, of the sun's face. And that was really cool about an hour ago. It's even cooler to check it out right now, of course. Pinhole projector time. If you want to take the kids out and show them the eclipse with a pinhole projector. I made a video on how you can take a cereal box and make your own little homemade pinhole projector. I made that last week and we posted that online, so that's really cool as well. Thankfully, some of these clouds trying to push away, and hopefully we're getting a good shot of the moon nearing 80% coverage of the sun's face here across the Youngstown area. This will be about as good as it gets over the next 3 to 4 minutes. And you know, again, it's just kind of weird outside. There's a weird feeling, a weird sensation being out here because it is a little darker. The shadows are a little bit different than they were a while ago. The buildings look a little bit strange in this dimmed sunlight. It's a little more like it's, say, 7:30 or 8 in the evening instead of 2:30 in the afternoon, close to the time of the day that the sun is highest in the sky and brightest in the sky as well. Now, I hope to be standing here on the roof in about 6.5 years on April 8th when we have a total solar eclipse here across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. I'm hoping to be standing here talking about how dark and how eerie, but how awesome it is, just like Derek had a chance to experience down in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It is about 2:33 right now, and so we're about at maximum coverage of the sun's face by the moon here. This is really, really neat stuff. It's a great real-time experience to teach your kids about some science, and many adults definitely have not experienced something like this before as well. But you know, I've heard once in a lifetime as a description on this in many circumstances, but boy, if you want to stick around for 6.5 years, we're going to be right in the sweet spot in northern Ohio and into northwestern PA, western New York, with a total solar eclipse in 2024. So again, we're right about the time that we're seeing our maximum coverage here. We're standing on the roof at our downtown studios. We've got a great view of the sun. Some wispy cirrus clouds have been kind of dancing with the sun lately. There's been some cumulus clouds as well, but we've really lucked out with the weather, all things considered. We didn't want a totally overcast day with rain or anything like that. If that was the case, it probably would have gotten a little bit darker. You would have noticed it, but it's great to not have too many clouds in the sky and a pretty good view of the sun in the kind of the southern sky over the valley right now. So again, really cool stuff here. We're right about at our peak coverage here at about 2:33, 2:34. From here on out, the moon will continue traversing the sun's face over to the left side of the sun, and then this eclipse will be officially over as the moon exits the left side of the sun's face at about 10 till 4, so about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes from right now. That's when the eclipse will officially be over. So really cool stuff. I hope you got a chance to check this out. Hope you could get your fingers on some Eclipse glasses. I know there was a run on them over the last week or so, but if you didn't get the Eclipse glasses, hopefully you've enjoyed our coverage here this afternoon. And hopefully, if you didn't get those glasses, a pinhole projector was a great way to go, or again, just watching our coverage for this afternoon. So I think we're going to wrap it up from the rooftop here in our downtown studios. Really cool that the clouds parted just in time to check out our partial solar eclipse here across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys.